Welcome to Good as Gold, hosted by Nick Grovich, a show dedicated to helping you understand precious metals and rare coins, how to avoid the pitfalls when buying, and how to understand the inner workings of the precious metals markets. Have a question? Call our local office at 1-800-221-7694. That's 1-800-221-7694. Or visit us online at www.americanfederal.com. Now, here's the host of Good as Gold, Nick Grovich.
Hi, it's Nick Grovich here on Good as Gold. We had a seminar on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, at the JW Marriott in Desert Ridge. And I want to thank everyone who showed up there. It was, we've done seminars for the last, 6 months or so. And it's something I don't really enjoy doing because I'm not a big fan of standing in front of a bunch of people and talking. Just, by the way, that's your hint to call in with questions to the station here. If you're in Phoenix, it's 602-324-1510. What's nice about the seminars, though, it's nice because we get to meet people face to face. And this particular seminar was different than most of the other ones we had. I'd say probably half of the people who showed up were people I've already met before, people I knew, people who've done business, either bought or sold coins. So it was almost like a big family getting back together. It was really a fun event. So if you went to that event, thank you. I mentioned at the event, I really love phone calls into the radio show. So hopefully somebody will call in and steer us in some direction they're interested in today. But it was really well attended. And like I said, the participants at the seminar were, for the most part, were a lot of people I already knew. So it was really kind of a homey kind of seminar. I didn't feel like I was preaching. I didn't feel like I was just giving out information. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions. It was really good. We're having another seminar, by the way, on May 20th out in Sun City at the Westbrook Village Rec Center. And if you'd like to sign up for that, you can go on our website, americanfederal.com, or call my office at 800-221-7694. Sign up for that. We're keeping these seminars a little bit more on the small side, 25 to 50 people. It just seems like we get a lot more done. We're able to talk with everyone there, answer everyone's questions. Had a lot of good questions at the seminar. It was funny. Carl Lattis, who works for me, did a small, short presentation. The whole seminar was only a couple hours long, so we crammed a lot of information into a couple hours. But he was showing some invoices from other companies, and it was interesting because one company who does a lot of advertising right now, he put up a page from one of their current catalogs. In other words, showing people what kind of coins are being really promoted and how the prices are really kind of out of line sometimes in these catalogs. And one of the participants stood up and said, "Those guys ripped me off." And there's another company, he mentioned a couple of companies, and he said, "They ripped me off too." And then other people in the audience kind of said, "Well, they ripped me off too." And it was pretty interesting. I don't want to mention the name of the companies right now, but it was really interesting. And one of the points that was really made when we started talking about this other company, and the one gentleman who stood up and started telling us about his experience with it, was that most people would start out, maybe they spend $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, depending on what they had to invest when they got the catalog or got a phone call from the company. And usually, though, a lot of the people would end up buying consistently. In other words, one client had spent over $1.5 million with the one company. And the reason I bring that up, he was only spending $5,000 or $10,000 at a time. Then after a year, he'd start stepping it up to maybe $50,000 or $60,000. But by the time he was all done with it, he had over $1.5 million invested. And the really sad thing about it was he had $1.5 million invested in coins that had nothing special going for him. In other words, he had just common coins that 2 million other people in the country own also. So he spent real money on coins, and he didn't end up with anything that was spectacular. He didn't end up with anything that was really all that interesting. For the most part, he'd have been better off just buying gold bullion. Even though gold went down, he'd have been a lot better just buying gold bullion like Eagles or Maple Leafs or something like that. But the point I was trying to make, and I think I talked about this last week, is a lot of people end up buying a little here and a little there, and before you know it, you have real money invested in the coin market or metals market. And if you're going to do that, or you ended up with a lot of coins, you're probably better off either going one way or the other. Get a bunch of gold Eagles or platinum Eagles or silver Eagles so you have a bullion hedge, or you just go the other way and buy something really, really rare. I made the point at the seminar that here this gentleman had spent $1.5 million, and he just had the same old, I hate to call it junk, but that's kind of what it was. It was just, there was nothing at all special about it. He had brand new coins from 2013, 14. That's when he had purchased. And he had a lot of gold Eagles and MS-70 that he paid $4,000 for that are, worth $1,200, $1,300. So he didn't end up with anything special. And for people like that, I think you're better off. If you want to be in something collectible, I'd rather see him have something, a coin I had there was a 1915 St. Gaudens, and it was in proof 66 condition. So here's a coin. I don't remember what the mintage is on the coin, but I think it's either 25 or 75 coins. I don't remember off the top of my head. Either way, it's pretty darn small. There's not that many of them around. But he could end up with something like that that's a roughly $135,000 coin. Wouldn't you rather have one coin that's almost unique, something that no one else could have, something that's super, super rare? Proof gold is, that's the king of the collectible market in coins. And, to me, that's like owning a Van Gogh or a Picasso or something really rare, instead of having $1 million worth of just stuff. And so that kind of led us into the rare coins a little bit. Again, I think most of you know I'm not a huge fan of rare coins, so I don't want it to sound like I'm just pushing rare coins on everybody. But I do think that we're going into a sideways. Well, we've been in a sideways market in the metals markets here for the last 3 years. So a lot of people have turned towards the collectible market, and there's ways to do that. I'm not going to say that are going to make you money, but there's ways to do that where you don't have to take so much risk. When you buy a 1 ounce gold coin for $4,000, you're taking an awful big risk, because you either have to find some collector who needs the coin, which is not going to be easy, or you need gold to go to $4,000 or $5,000 an ounce just to break even. To me, that just doesn't make sense. If gold goes to $4,000, I want to be making a profit. That's almost 4 times where it is today. 3.5 times where it is today. And instead of making a profit, this gentleman who spent all that money, he'd be breaking even. So for a person like that, or if you're one of those people who has just somehow ended up with hundreds of thousands of dollars and just have a car full of coins for that money, you'd be better off deciding, go back and decide what you wanted these coins for, and either go 100% into bullion or maybe mix it with some real rarities.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Okay, we're back with you. I was talking a little bit about the seminar, and as you know, if you've been listening at all the last couple of months, I've been talking more and more about rare coins. You should know this is the first time in over 20 years I've even looked at the rare coin market again. If you're one of these people who just wants to have some gold and silver, you just want it set aside for a rainy day, you just want it as a hedge of your dollars, or a hedge, to offset something in the stock market or other paper transactions or paper investments, I guess is a better way to put it. Gold, silver, platinum, you buy it. It's an insurance policy. You stick it away. I'm not trying to talk you out of your bullion. I think that's really your core position. But the fact is that a lot of people, whether knowingly or not, have ended up with varieties of so-called collectible coins that for the most part aren't really that collectible. They aren't rare. They're, the odds of them doing anything spectacular price-wise is minimal. Those, I guess, are the people I'm talking to about rare coins. For people like that, I really, if you have $200,000 or $500,000 stuck in a variety of collectible coins, whether it's St. Gaudens or $10 Indians, or even a lot of these modern coins that the dealers are selling for outrageous prices, either put it in bullion or put it in some really, really rare coins. The neat thing about it right now is that there's actually decent coins available. One of the items I mentioned is a 1915 St. Gauden that I just bought. And I just paid $120,000 for it. I'd sell it for $132,000. But it's basically a one-of-a-kind type of thing. It's something nobody else is going to have. And people always look at it and say, well, geez, I'm going to put $130,000, $132,000 into one coin. I'd rather have a bunch of coins. Well, I think I'd rather have one coin that has very little downside compared to, you could have 100 coins that are worth half of what you paid, or one coin that's for, if you sold it tomorrow, maybe you lose 10% or 15% on it. And that's the one good thing about a lot of the coins, well, at least the coins that I would recommend at this point. A coin like that, or coins like the barber coins, the dimes, the quarters, the halves, you could put a set together. You could put a set of barber dimes or quarters or halves, or one of each even is a great way to go. And you put $10,000 in the market. It's something, I think if you have a lot of bullion already, it's kind of a little diversification, but I just don't think there's a lot of risk involved in that. One item I came across that I thought was really neat is a 1914 proof set. In fact, I think we have a picture of it on our website. So, if you're just curious, even if you're not interested in buying it, it's really worth going to the website, AmericanFederal.com, and take a look at the 1914 proof set. To me, it's pretty incredible. You look at it, and there's a Lincoln cent from 1914. That's a matte proof. In other words, that's a sandblasted look on that coin. So it's a little different kind of coin. Then you have the dime, the nickel, the Buffalo nickel from 1914. That's the second year they made them. The dime, the quarter, and the half. And the set's really nice because all the coins are toned. That means tarnished, but they're real pretty. They have real pretty colors. The coins kind of match up. They look, I'm not saying these coins have been together since 1914, but they're well matched. So they look like a really pretty set. On a set like that, you can buy today for $25,000. Back when the market peaked out, I doubt if you could have touched that set for $100,000 or maybe even $150,000. Now, I'm not telling you it's going back to $100,000 or $150,000. A lot of brokers will tell you that. They'll pick out coins that you can pay 10 cents on the dollar, and they lead you to believe that you could make 5 or 10 times your money on. And that's just probably not true. But I guess I look at it and I think, well, those coins have been down in value. Those coins have been down in value for 20 years. And that's the price they've settled at. So I feel like right now, because gold and silver and platinum really haven't been doing a lot, if you want to take a little bit more risk and buy something a little more fun, you can go in that direction. And maybe you make some money down the road on it, but I don't think you're taking a big risk on it. And in this market, I think risk is a big part of what you have to watch for. So I had a caller who's not on the phone and asked, what do I think is the best bet for gold and silver in the next few years? I'm not exactly sure what that means. If you mean, if you want to call in and correct me, I'll guess at what you meant. The best bet for gold and silver. If you're talking about what are the best coins, gold and silver coins, my opinion, I like the Eagles, and I've talked about it many times. I think you have a secondary way to make profit on Eagles. If you just buy the older dates, buy them basically as gold based on the gold price, the gold bullion price, you're getting some rarity there, and you're not paying for it. I'm not in favor of buying collectible gold eagles or collectible silver eagles. I am in favor of buying the older dates that could turn out to be collectible simply because it gives you a secondary way to make some money. So I like the eagles. If all you're after is just gold, it really doesn't matter. You buy Krugerrands, maple leaves, bars. It's all bullion. It's all going to move the same. Gold eagle is going to go up. A gold bar is going to go up with the price of gold, whatever the spot price of gold or silver is. As far maybe you mean what's better, gold or silver? I don't know. Believe it or not, the girls at my office did give me a crystal ball for Christmas, and it's sitting on my desk. And I don't know if I have it tuned in wrong or what, but it's not really giving me any answers as to what's going to go on in the future. The dollar right now is really getting scary. Right before I started the show, I was reading, I mentioned to everyone before, this gentleman named Clive Maund, M-A-U-N-D. He does a lot of charting, and he looks strictly at the technical side of things. And, he's been worried about the dollar for quite some time. Because if you look at it, it looks like gold. It looks like gold 6 years ago. It's just a straight line up. So at some point, what goes up comes down. Nothing goes straight up, and that's what the dollar looks like right now. If the dollar gets weaker, generally that's good for gold or silver. A lot of people like silver because at $16 an ounce, they feel like it double very easily and go to $32 an ounce. Where gold would have to go to $2,400 an ounce, which would be a new all-time high. Silver at $36 an ounce is nowhere near the all-time high of nearly $50 an ounce. But different things are going to affect those markets. In my opinion, if you get a global economic problem, gold's going to be the metal that performs the best, because the central banks and most governments buy gold. They don't buy silver. They don't buy platinum. They don't buy palladium. They buy gold. If you get run up like what we've seen here the last 15 years, I think silver could be a better buy than gold, because I'm going to call that an orderly run up. That's not a panicky run up. What we had when gold went from $250 to $1,900, it wasn't really a panic. There was no time during that 12 years where people were just panicking and just buying whatever they could get their hands on. It was more orderly. Towards the end, it did go up rather quickly, but there was never a panic. So in a situation like that, again, we're getting back to looking at ratios, the relative scarcity of one metal to another. Platinum or silver could be better. So I don't know if I answered your question. If not, feel free to call back, leave me another message, or ask me online. Any gold, silver, platinum, they're all going to move, basically the same direction. They're all influenced by the same factors. Silver and platinum do have the benefit that if the economy gets better, they benefit from that because they're industrial metals also. So we got 1 minute here till a break. So last night I was in California, and maybe I'll talk about this a little after the break. I think this is the story. I was with a client last night. My fiance and I had dinner with a client of mine down in San Pedro last night, and he had a pretty interesting story. He's involved in all three metals, platinum, gold, and silver, and he literally has rooms full of the material. So we went out to dinner with him and went to one of his favorite restaurants and ate enough food for about 20 people. After the break, I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but it kind of gets back to this question: what's the best thing to buy? What's the best way to do it? There's always a question about what's better: gold, silver, coins, bullion, proof coins, regular coins. So we'll talk about that.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Grovich back with you. I do want to mention that they're giving out the 800 number, which is my office number. We're live in Phoenix, so if you want to call the radio station, you should call 602-324-1510. The reason they're giving out both numbers is we also do a show that runs in Palm Springs, but that's not a live show. So if you're in Palm Springs listening, call the 800 number, which is 800-221-7694. I'll be glad to talk to you or talk to one of the guys, Carl, Steve, or Don at the office. If you're in Phoenix right now, you want to ask me something on the live show, it's 602-324-1510. So I was talking a little bit about a client that I went to visit last night. I was out visiting my fiance. We decided to go out and visit with a client of mine out in San Pedro. He's been a client for quite a few years. We get along really well. We go to dinner. We probably go to dinner every 3 or 4 months when I'm out there. And, he's a really nice guy. It's a lot of fun. We go to his favorite restaurant, a restaurant he's gone to for 30 years, I think he told me. And he's got his own special table, and everybody at the restaurant knows him. And even when I show up early, there's always food on the table waiting for when we get there. So last night we got there. There was a line out the door, but his table was ready and waiting with a pizza on it. So we get pizza for appetizers. Then we get 2 bowls of calamari. And then usually we get shrimp, and then swordfish, and then tuna, and then steak, and then spaghetti, and then fettuccine, and then dessert. So it's a lot of fun, but he has some really good stories. So he had a really good story that I'd heard before, but he told my fiance Laura the story, and I think it was neat because she always asked me, why do people buy gold and silver? What's the point behind it? Well, this client was in Mexico. He's a fisherman, so he used to work on the boats. He's just about retired now, but so he used to work on the boats down in Mexico, catching tuna and squid and that type of thing, and then they'd catch it and bring it up to the United States and sell it. So he was in Mexico for 13 years. He was there down in 1980 when the Mexican government decided to revalue the peso. And it's a little similar to what happened here back in the 30s. The Mexican banks took a banking holiday. So my client said, he was out on the boat, he got in, and somebody asked him, or somebody brought up the bank holiday, and he got pretty excited about that because since he'd been in Mexico for 13 years, his money was in Mexico too. So he had all of his pesos in a Mexican bank. And it was about 6.5 million pesos, which at the time he tells me would have been about $250,000. So a pretty substantial sum of money. And the banks were all closed, so you had no way to get your money out. Well, when the banks reopened, they would not let you take your money out in dollars. You could only take pesos out of the bank, and they wouldn't trade your pesos for dollars. And so what happened to him is he had 6.5 million pesos, which is, like I said, is about $250,000, and it was basically worthless. If he'd have taken that in dollars, once they started again trading pesos for dollars, he would have gotten, he told me, about $400 for it. So he would have gone from $250,000 to about $400 overnight just because they took a banking holiday. And this, it sounds like an extreme case, but there's never been a fiat currency, a paper currency that has survived. The dollar is about it. I think maybe the pound is still alive, but just about every paper currency has gone through a devaluation and eventually ended up being worthless. The German mark, it happened in Germany in the 1920s. I won't go into all the history on it, but what my client was saying is, until you actually back yourself up to the stove and burn yourself, you don't really get it. And he said, I get it because I was there and I had $250,000 that was suddenly worthless just because the government decided to knock some zeros off their currency. Now, what he did, he was a little luckier than most people. He had connections. Of course, he was a fisherman. He had connections in the United States to sell fish, to sell shrimp. And he took his $6.5 million, or million pesos, not dollars, and he bought shrimp with it. And then through friends, he got the shrimp up to the United States and sold it. So he got about $50,000 back out of Mexico. But I mean, how would you like to do that? You have to convert your money to shrimp, and then hope the shrimp. I mean, that's a tough way to get your money out. It would have been a lot easier to just have gold in the first place. In other words, if he would have had that 6.5 million pesos in gold, it really wouldn't have mattered what the currency did, because gold can be traded for any currency you want. It's not priced in just one currency. So if the peso is worthless, it's still priced daily in well, at the time it would pounds or dollars or whatever you wanted it priced in. So it would keep the value, the relative value of the gold would have been okay. He would have kept his $250,000. Well, as it was, he got his money out by turning it into shrimp. Luckily, it didn't spoil before it got to market in Los Angeles. He sold the shrimp off. He got $50,000, so he salvaged, quite a bit. And, I'm sure losing $200,000 hurt quite a bit, but turning it into $400 would have been considerably worse. But the point is, since then, he has never trusted paper currency. He doesn't trust the dollar. It doesn't matter if it's the U.S. or Mexico or Switzerland. He does not trust paper currency. And I don't think most people would. If you'd have actually gone through that and lived through that, buying gold or silver would have made an awful lot of sense to you. So I don't know. I obviously don't know all of his financial information. I don't know where he has all of his money, but I would feel pretty safe saying that a good portion of what he has is in precious metals. Now, the one thing that I will say is he had a lot of proof silver eagles that he was buying from the government, and we were going round and round talking about the different kinds of coins he has. He literally has a bedroom that's stacked floor to ceiling full of coins, and he's getting to a point where he just, number one, I'm not sure he really even knows what the heck he has. It took him a month just to tell me what he had in silver eagles. And then he's in proof silver eagles, which is more of a collectible coin. And this is where our performance review would come in. If you had the same thing, if you had proof eagles, whether it's silver, gold, platinum, or collectible coins, we try and take a look at it and see how it did the last time gold went up, or how it's done period since the coins were sold as investments or collector coins. So he's got proof coins which are worth just under $50 a coin, but it's only $16 worth of silver. So my point to him was he's holding these coins because he believes silver is going up. And the problem is, even when silver went to $40 an ounce, a few years ago, well, I guess it's more than a few now, 5 or 6 years ago, those coins never got, I don't think they really got higher than $65 or $70. So if silver would go from $16 back to $40, so almost 3 times what it is today, he'd be really lucky to make 50% on his coins. In his case, since he's really in a semi-collectible bullion coin, he'd be so much better off to take those coins, and for each coin he has, he could turn it into, I don't have the math in front of me, but almost 3 ounces of silver. So he could trade 1 ounce of silver for 3 ounces of silver, and then if silver does indeed go back to $40 or $50 an ounce, he's made 3 times the money. 6 times the money he would make making 50% on his proof coins. That's a lot of percentages and prices. But just if silver goes back to $40 or $50, his coins are going to go from $50 maybe to $60 or $70. So he's not even going to double his money. If he just put that money back into silver bullion at $16 or $17 an ounce, that's going to follow the price of silver dollar for dollar. So if silver goes from $17 to $50, he makes 3 times his money instead of 50% on his money. So I think I'm throwing too many numbers around because everybody's laughing at me here. But this is the kind of thing, this is why we were meeting. We're trying to come up with a plan for him. Number one, it would take a U-Haul truck or 2 just to get his coins out of his house and get the coins to market. One comment he made to me was, I said, Nick, I don't want to be filling my car and driving up and down the freeways and taking these all over Los Angeles to try and sell the darn things. He's in a position, he says, I just want to simplify. He's still not real anxious to put his money in cash because he still doesn't trust the dollar. But there's a lot of better ways he could do that. Cut down on the bulk, really drastically increase his chances to make a profit, and still have that hedge that he really in his heart wants. I mean, he really just does not want to be in cash. So that's what we try to do. This was, like I said, this was a little different. He's been a client for a while. He's a very fun guy. I love going out to dinner with him. So probably ate enough food to last me a week. But so if you have it doesn't matter if it's a trunk full of coins or a box of coins. We can do a little review for you. Call the office 480-553-5282. If you're out of Phoenix, it's 800-221-7694. We could do a little portfolio review. If nothing else, we can give you a couple ideas of, just like this case, we can give you a couple ideas that maybe help you simplify it, maybe get it in a better potential profit position. We can certainly give you some ideas. Maybe there's a better way to do it than what you've thought of. Sometimes it's a lot easier looking from the outside in than when you're in the middle of something. So with that said, if you have coins you want to review, call the office, 800-221-7694. They'll be glad to do that for you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Okay, Nick Grovich back with you. I think we have a caller on the line. Is that correct? Hi, this is Nick.
Hi, Nick. My name's Phil. I'm from Avondale. I've been reading a little bit on protecting your gold or precious metals in an IRA. How does that work?
That's a really good question that you bring up. Precious metals IRAs have been really popular the last, maybe 5-6 years. You can put your IRA money into a precious metals IRA. You'd have to get it set up with there's only a handful of companies that really handle that. And I could give you the names if you want to call the office, or they can give you the name of the companies that set that up. But basically, you're putting your money in there. Of course, you get the deduction, whether it's a Roth or a regular IRA. You get the same deductions as you would with any other IRA. And you can buy certain types of gold, silver, and platinum, and you can put them in your IRA. Now they're held for you. You can't take possession of the gold, silver, or platinum. So it's held for you in a depository. There's one in Texas and there's one in Delaware that we use. And, basically it's like any other IRA. You're going to leave that gold, silver, platinum in there. It's going to accumulate tax-free, which it does either way. So, if you don't have an IRA, you might want to talk to your accountant before you do it. Because the one thing about a precious metals IRA, you get that initial tax deduction, but once you own gold or silver, if it goes up, it appreciates tax-free anyway.
Right.
So that's the only benefit you don't really get. But a lot of people have IRAs where they have a lot of stocks or something like that in it right now, and they're a little worried about the stock market going down. So for them to switch in a portion of it into gold or silver, it does make some sense. It's a kind of a personal thing. You've got to decide that for yourself. Were you thinking of setting one up, or did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, I was just curious. So you have to use basically protected money like 401k money or IRA that's already there, or set up a new account.
Exactly.
To put it into the gold. Okay.
Right. So you could use, if you already have a 401k or an IRA, you can move that money into a precious metals IRA. Otherwise, if you want to start, you can start one. We can certainly help you out with it. The one thing I will tell you is you just be real careful. A lot of companies, some of these companies probably make 50-60% of their profits just selling IRA accounts. And one thing you just have to be careful of is people think that just because a certain coin is approved for an IRA, that you're having the trustee watch. In other words, they think that because there's a trustee that he's watching the price that you're paying and making sure you're getting the right type of coin, and that's not always true.
Okay.
So, just get a lot of information before you decide what to put in there. But I would just, like I said, I would stick more with the bullion coins. You can put any of the gold, platinum, or silver eagles in there. Where a lot of companies will get you is they'll talk you into the proof coins. I was just talking about the proof silver eagles.
Right.
And in fact, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Did you have any other questions?
No, that was it. Like I said, I made an initial purchase several years ago, and they have increased in value about like half a dozen $10 gold pieces, and they're in the sealed little cases, so they're rated and stuff, and
okay,
they have appreciated. But I know at the time I probably overpaid, so that might be something to look at, see if those are worth maybe just turning into bullion or something.
Yeah, like I said, give the office a call. If you have the number there, it's 800-221-7694. And, send me a list, and I'll go over it, and I can talk to you in person and just go over it with you and give you some ideas, and then you can decide if you want to do anything with it or not.
That'll work.
All right. Hey, Phil, thanks for calling in.
No, thanks for your help.
The one thing about IRAs, you cannot put numismatic coins in there. And we have another call. Denny, this is Nick. Can I help you?
Hi, Nick. Yes,
Hi.
I had called the station, and you answered one of my questions about the best bets in gold and silver for 2015, and you answered that. You said it was the Gold Eagles, and that you really like that.
Right.
Yeah, and the other question I had given the lady, but it never got through. Apparently, is there any good way to avoid the salesmen? A lot of them have these crazy, scary tactics, and they use some tricks when you're buying and selling gold or silver coins. Do you have any good way you think maybe to avoid all that stuff?
Yeah, I think if you have an idea what you want to do before you take the call or before you make a call, and a little tactic that somebody just taught me was before you commit yourself, hang up and think about it. I mean, even if you called me and I had the best deal in the world, there's really no reason I can't let you go think about it for an hour or two. Before you commit yourself, because once you commit yourself with a lot of these guys, once you say yes, you're committed. And a lot of people do the work afterwards. They'll call me and say, "Oh, I just bought these coins for $4,000. What do you think?" And I always say, "Well, I think you should have called me before you bought them."
Okay, that sounds great. Listen, I guess I'll call your office then, and probably talk with somebody there.
Yeah, terrific. Thanks, Denny.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Bye.
Bye. So, what I was talking about earlier kind of goes right along with this, where we were talking about my client in California who had the proof silver eagles and the IRAs. A lot of brokers are going to try and sell you the proof coins. Partly you have to watch what you pay per coin, because generally people will treat the proof, whether it's gold, silver, or platinum, they'll treat them as a rare coin, which instantly means you're paying 20 to 50% markup on it, which to me is kind of works against you if you're putting it in an IRA, because you have to make 40-50% just to break even. The other thing is, especially on the proof silver eagles, if you have those in your IRA, chances are you paid a real premium price for them if you bought them from one of the big dealers and put them in your IRA. So you need to do something that's going to pay you back a much higher rate of return if silver goes up. And the simplest way to do that in this market, if you have proof silver eagles in an IRA, I mean, I would tell you, you're better off to get out of those coins, sell those, trade it into just plain uncirculated silver eagles, which is the bullion coin. If hopefully you understand, a bullion coin is you're just trading it based on the price of silver. So you're gonna, with premiums and all that, you're gonna end up with 2 or 2.5 ounces for every one proof silver eagle you have. Now you've just doubled your profit basically. So if silver goes from $16 to $32, you'll double your money on twice as much silver. So that's probably the easiest way, assuming you believe in silver, that's the easiest way to increase your potential profits and make the best out of what you have. The problem is you could sit on those proof eagles, and a lot of people do this. Say, "Oh, I'm in them at $70. I'm going to wait till they go back to $70." Silver might have to triple before those coins get to $70, and then all you've done is break even. You really haven't gotten anywhere. So if you have coins in an IRA, again, I would call the office. You could talk to me later, or talk to Carl, Don, Steve at the office, and we'll give you some idea if there's a better way to do it, or if there's a better way we think you can do it. And you can take that information, do what I just told Denny, hang up and think about it for an hour and decide if it makes sense, and then call us back with more questions and decide what you want to do. Don't forget we have a seminar May 20th, and that is in Sun City at the Westbrook Village Recreation Center. It's May 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. Come on out and join us there. We'd love to meet more of our local clients. Whether you dealt with us before or not, come on out, meet us, ask us some questions. We'd love to get to know you, see if what we have to say makes sense to you, and hopefully we'll see you there.